what does that say about Greg Bird, the fact that he's facing a tough lefty in that situation and falls behind 0-2 in the count and is able to come up with a hit like that?
You know, he's been able to do that for us. He's come up with some really big hits for us, and he's a good hitter. And, you know, we've talked about him for a couple years, and as he was rising through the ranks of the minor leagues, and, you know, he's the MVP of the Fall League last year, and that's why we called him up, because we thought, you know, in Texas' absence, he could make an impact, and he's doing that.
What stood out the most about him?
He's very calm, too. He's a lot like Severino. He has a plan. He knows what he wants to do. He doesn't get too high or too low. Same person every day. So I don't think he has been nervous in this situation. I think his at-bats have been really good.
What stood out the most about the way Ryan Murphy played today's offense or the defense of John?
Well, I think being able to get Michael through those first 3 innings, 4 innings, where he really didn't have much. His slider was backing up. He was missing spots with his fastball. And then Michael kind of righted the ship and, you know, shut him down after giving up the 4 runs in the 2nd inning. And I give Michael a lot of credit, but I give John Ryan a lot of credit, too. When you think about, you know, we get 5 big RBIs from some really young players today. And then you get 2 from Chris Young, who's had a great year for us and has been really good against left-handers. But to get that 2-run homer to put us ahead, it's pretty special for John Ryan.
Andrew, Ron, right here. Ron. Either one, doesn't matter. Ron, take the mic. There you go.
Joe, you said he's the same person every day. How do you see that when you know, in terms of what he does and how he? And did you notice that in spring training when you first met him?
No, I pretty much noticed it since I first met him. I didn't think he was overwhelmed in spring training, and I've noticed it here. You know, he may strike out his first at bat, and he'll make a tiny adjustment and has an idea of what he wants to do. And you know, he's hit against left-handers as well as right-handers today. He's done that as well. So really, he's just been, you know, he's just fit in and goes about his business every day.
Ron.
What do you attribute Betances' control problems to?
He was just a little off today. You know, it was against the lefties today, not the, you know, against the righties. I don't know. I mean, everyone's going to look for an answer. He ended up, I think, striking out three guys, which worked out pretty well too. We were talking the other day. He didn't have very many strikeouts in a game, so he was just a little off today.
You figure after 57 pitches, not available?
I wouldn't think so. No.
Eric.
Maybe to pinch run.
Eric.
Joe, you said a few times as Toronto's been hot, we can only control what we can control. But is it still nice to look up at the scoreboard and see them losing this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, it's nice to see them lose games and you know, teams play them tough, and you know. But the bottom line is we got to take care of our own business. I mean, that's the bottom line. And you know, I've said all along, it's impossible not to scoreboard watch. But you know what? I scoreboard watch the first day, the second day, the third day, because I'm curious what's going on, because this is our life.
Neil, standing up on our right.
When Alex was having such a tough time in August, did you have the confidence that down the stretch he'd be able to still give you these kind of contributions?
Yeah, we did. You know, we knew that, you know, there might be some challenges because he's 40 years old and he hasn't played a full season in a couple years. And, you know, he's pretty much almost played every day for us, except when we've been in National League ballparks. We knew there might be some challenges, but as I said, I thought the 3 days in Atlanta helped, and I noticed his swing was better in Boston, and it's just continued. So we need to keep him going, though. That's the big thing. He's a big part of our lineup.
Who else? Over here to the right.
What impressed you about the way that Pineda was able to keep the team from being able to come back?
Michael? Just the fact that he didn't really have great stuff. I thought the third inning was good. I thought the sixth inning was pretty good, where he had his stuff. But it was a struggle for him today. But, you know, to me, that's a mark of a maturing pitcher, when you can get through that and not let things blow up. And he didn't.
Roger.
Joe, before the game, you were talking about how CeCe would be inserted into the rotation, and then you were going to stay on rotation. but you keep using the caveat you could change your mind.
Yeah, because I'm allowed to do that.
What sort of circumstances do you envision where you would change your
You know, I think you have to see what guys do, and we go from there. So let's just see what happens.
Joe,
Oh, in the back, sorry.
you're 58-2 when having that lead after the 6th inning. What do you attribute that to? Is it all bullpen? Is it timely hitting? A little of both?
It's well when you look at it 58-2 after having the lead after 6 innings, that's our bullpen. Yeah, and there's been some timely hitting where we've come back, but I mean, you look at what these guys have done; they have been really, really good. They have been durable. They have been consistent, and they have gotten a lot of outs for us. And they've got their share of wins too, because we've come back in a few, but they've been really good.
Roger.
Wilson gave up a run in the 7th, and Tantis loads the bases in the 8th, and Miller gives up a run in the 9th. I know the bottom line is they get the job done,
Right.
they win. But does the fact that each one of them had a little bit of a struggle at the same time give you pause in any way?
A pause about what?
How much they're being used, or if somebody needs a break, or if you need to do some sort of...
Well, I mean, believe me, we are conscious about their breaks all year long. You know, I'm probably one of the few managers that doesn't use people 3 days in a row. And I have stuck with that. We just don't do it really around here. I did a little bit with Mo, and I did a little bit with David Robertson. But I know, you know, when I have to give them days off, I give the days off, and I stick to my plan. And you know, these guys are still throwing the ball well. You don't see a drop off in velocity. I mean, they're going to give up a run when you have an ERA, you know, in the ones. You know, when they give up a run, sometimes it's kind of surprising because you don't see it a lot. But they're really good.